Good evening. My name is Samantha Villarreal. I am an interviewer for UTSA's Oral History Research Project over COVID-19 and our community's experiences. This project is directed by Dr. Whitney Chappell. Our guest today is Francisco Ramos. Thank you so much for giving us your time. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
So again, my name is Francisco Ramos. Thank you for the introduction, Samantha. I'm 23 years old, and I am a student right here at UTSA. I am studying architecture with a minor in history, and I was raised in the Rio Grande Valley, in the small town of Donna, Texas.
And when did you move to San Antonio?
I moved to San Antonio in 2015. My very first year in as a freshman at UTSA, um, right after I graduated from high school.
And what is your family life like? Did it change when you moved to San Antonio or did it stay the same?
We stayed the same. It's still the same family tradition. My father, he works in the agricultural areas, so he gets involved whether picking onions or also grapefruits or oranges, even watermelon sometimes, depending on how the season goes throughout the year. So, my mother, she's a housekeeper, and she's been working in as a housekeeper for years now. So nothing has really changed, even since we were younger. Um, Me and my sisters, who used to even help my parents when it came to when we were not in school, we will go and help my father, and my mother will also join us as well. But yeah.
And what has shaped you into the person that you are today?
Well, every year, there's been a lot of obstacles that I've faced, especially since I started in college, since I started my freshman year here in 2015. So many things that have happened that have changed me to the person that I am today. Um, I've grown to be a more mature, more responsible. Um, I've grown to be someone um, who is really um, dependable and stuff. I also try to I do all of this because of my parents. My parents always taught me to be always doing the good thing and always be someone who I want to be. Don't be a. They always taught me to be not to be a follower, to always be a leader. So um, I get that from my parents a lot because my parents have gone through a lot so much as they were growing up. They didn't get the chances that I got. Um, they didn't get the chances as I did, as I do right now. And as a dreamer, I can say that I'm really a hard worker. Um, so yeah, there's a lot of things that go behind to the reason why I am today.
Thank you for sharing. Now we're moving into our early COVID questions. So we were just now, we had COVID in like mid-March, and it definitely changed a lot of our lives. So how did you feel in mid-March when life first started to change because of COVID-19 in the US? And how did life change for you?
So a lot of so when we go back to March of this year of 2020, yeah, there was a lot of things that were going on. There was a lot of confusion. There was a lot of being scared. I remember that um, even my roommates and I, we were really scared because we didn't really know what was going to happen to us or to anyone, because it was super unexpected of the pandemic hitting um, our areas. And when it finally did, we just didn't know what to do. And so it really impacted our lives, I guess. It really did, because it surely, um, everything that we were doing that we were considering normal had to stop. We were in quarantine. Everything was shut down. So uh, definitely, I feel like there's a lot of things that have changed. But yeah.
So following up with your response, what seemed normal before COVID-19 that seems strange to you now? Like, what is something that you're like, oh, now I see it different?
Crowds. The crowds. So before it was like right now that it's the holiday season, um last year it was normal to see so many people shopping, going to stores, getting ready for the for Thanksgiving or even for Christmas. But now it's a little, I have a different view of it now because we have to social distance, we have to wear masks, we have to be really careful because COVID has been affecting everybody and a big number. So in order for us to be careful, in order for us to stay safe and not get the virus, we have to follow these rules. But we've seen an increased number of people coming into our stores or anywhere in particular in any other areas. When I see a big crowd now, it's kind of like, whoa, what's going on? Like, we are in the middle of a pandemic. We have to follow some rules and stuff. So it really is something that has thrown me off for a couple of months now. But a lot of people say it's a new normal. I still don't see it. It kind of really is, but we'll see how for the next couple of months how everything's gonna work out.
How did COVID-19 affected your job during those
So
times?
yeah, um so when COVID started, I still had a job. As I was looking at the news, a lot of people were losing their jobs. One of my roommates actually lost her job because of COVID. She used to work in an office, and they told her that because of low funds, there wasn't going to be uh, they were going to cut some people. And thankfully for me, for my job, there wasn't any cuts for it. We were shut down for the month of April, but when we came back, I saw the shortage of employees. So um, the way that affected me during my time at the beginning of the pandemic was that I was doing many jobs that were supposed to be for other employees. So it was a little bit more stressful, of course, but at the same time, I got to learn a lot of new stuff. I got to increase my knowledge on working in the job that I am right now. So definitely, it was hard at the beginning, but at the same time, um, it was a lesson that I learned. So yeah.
How has COVID-19 affected you and your family's daily activities? Did you have to make any adjustments to like your daily life? Did it like change your routine?
Yeah. So prior to COVID, I had a business. I had like a really busy schedule, really busy. So most of the time I wasn't even in my own place because either I was at school or I was at work, or there was other things that I had to catch up with, like appointments and even helping out in other stuff. Um, but as soon as COVID entered, all of that had to be erased because everything was shut down at the beginning, and then now that the country has opened up once again, there's been a lot of restrictions of what you can do. So um, if I'm not at work, I'm definitely back in my apartment. So I'm here stuck in these four walls, but I try to accommodate and do something useful. So for me to not go crazy, but definitely it has changed a lot of my plans. Even visiting my family members, sometimes it can be a little bit more. It can be troubling because, like I said, no, you never know. You just never know if you have it or not until you get tested. Even if you don't have symptoms, you can still be asymptomatic. I believe that's the word.
Yeah.
So it's kind of scary to even visit my family members that are just 4 hours away from here. But um, definitely a lot has changed. But hopefully everything starts to going back to normal. But we just
Yes.
know.
So, what do you think are the biggest challenges when this pandemic came with your like daily lives and like with your relationship with like friends and family?
Just keeping the distance was a really hard challenge because um even for school sometimes right now for school we're doing everything online.
Mhm.
And as an architect major, we're basically we're in a hands-on training program. So um, before COVID started, we will go to class, of course, in person, and especially for studios, having the professor right going to campus, going to the studios, and having the professor there giving you advice and guiding you through the process of design. Um, you get that feeling that the professor is helping you a little bit more because he's right there. You can ask them questions and everything directly for those 3 hours that we had for studio. Versus now that we're here in everything that is online, it's been a little bit more harder um, understanding the course or doing some projects because then we have to wait 48 hours or 48 hours to get a response or to ask him questions because um, again everything's online and the professors also have their life. So we just can't really go um, to the offices anymore at a random time or depending going to campus and study at the libraries. We can't really do that. So it really has affected my studies, definitely has. And going with friends and family as just keeping my distance has been really hard because I'm really close to my parents, especially my mother. And I it's been months since I visit them and because of COVID, I get pretty scared because again, no one just really, I just don't know. So yeah,
Yeah, that's pretty tough.
yeah.
How do you think that people around you are responding to COVID-19, like in your community or like in school, or what have you seen?
So I've seen so far that the majority of the people, especially here in the city, have responded in a great way. Um, Compared to other cities that they have probably more than 50,000 cases or 100,000 cases at the beginning of the pandemic. As a city in San Antonio, we were still in the low numbers, and that's because San Antonio is considered one of the largest cities in the United States. So, so definitely the majority of the people here have taken it seriously. I've seen some other people who have, of course, have other different views and don't want to take it seriously, believe that it's not real, conspiracies. But at the same time, everyone has their own um, opinion, I guess. But the handling of it has been I've seen a lot of different things. The university when they decided to shut down for this fall, uh, basically the entire academic school year. Um, for me, I saw it as a great response because I feel that if they would have opened campus, the region that I'm living at right now would have been contaminated with COVID. But thankfully, everybody has everybody had has participated and said like, yeah, we'll keep our distance and definitely there's been there for me that's a great response.
Yeah, I agree.
Hmm.
Have you or anybody you know has gotten sick during the COVID-19 pandemic? Do you know if anybody has had the virus and what was their experience like?
Yeah, I've met some people. I know some of my friends have had it. um, some of them had scares. Some people thought they had COVID, but turns out it was another sickness. We forget sometimes that there's flu,
Yeah.
there's a regular cough or something else. For me, if I start getting something, I will freak out. But yeah, one of my good friends from back home, she got COVID, and I remember when we used to message a lot, and one time she video chatted me, and she had told me that, yeah, I'm not feeling great. I don't know what's going on. And she told me her symptoms. And I even went to ask my friend who works at the hospitals. I was like, she has the symptoms. I don't know what's going on. And I kind of wanted to know. And they were saying the way that they've seen people coming into the hospitals, and they seen the symptoms of some people who had COVID. They said that she might have had it. And I advised her to take the COVID test. And when she finally did, she did get COVID, and it lasted for her for like a quite a while, almost up to a month.
Oh,
Uh, yeah, just because she had developed a cough, and her sense of smell and taste was gone. But now she's back to normal. She's doing great now.
good.
And I'm really glad that she really is, because again, she's one of my really really close friends. And it gets scary when you hear somebody who's close to you has a really high potential virus, and you never know how someone's body's gonna react. So
Yeah.
thankfully, that's she's doing great. I've met other people who gotten sick about the virus, and they also had a great response. um Unfortunately, yeah, I believe I had a family member who passed away of COVID, but it was back in.
Oh, I'm sorry about your loss.
No, yeah, yeah, it's understandable. And thank you, yeah. And but like my mother always said, we have to move on from it. So, but yeah.
How do you think COVID-19 is affecting people's mental health since, some people are not used to always being indoors?
Mhm.
How do you think that may be affecting them, or has that
It's
affected you?
Yeah. So for me, it has affected me, um, and definitely some people's mental health um, has been troubling because of how everything started with quarantine when we first started the first phase. Um, I I know that some people were just going crazy. I don't know. I didn't know what other term I could use, but I know that some people um, were not reacting. Were reacting different ways. For me, definitely, I was at first I didn't know how to cope with it because, um, like I said, I really had a really busy schedule every day. I was all over the place, and when everything shut down, I realized, what am I gonna do in here? So, thankfully, as time went by, people started to cope with it. We started to find new ways and new ideas to get distracted from all this craziness that's been going on around the world. Applications like TikTok has really really helped us with coping, because a lot of people took this app as a learning tool, and thankfully, because of this app that became really really famous during the pandemic, during the beginning of the pandemic, a lot of people got to learn a lot of new things. Of course, there were some other people whose mental health was still affected even worse, um, but definitely I've seen a lot of change happen through the beginning of the pandemic, and throughout right now, it's definitely has changed.
What are you most looking forward to when the pandemic is over? When all of this is over, what is the one thing you're looking like the most forward to?
Going out and hang out, doesn't matter anywhere, like going to downtown, or even visiting my friends, or even going to the beach, or even clubbing. That's what I'm looking forward to. Um, Fiesta in April of next year. But again, no one really knows how everything's gonna go. But I hope by next summer everything goes back to normal, and there's a vaccine or something that's gonna help us out. But um, definitely, the number one thing that I want to do is go home and spend as much time with my family, because I've learned throughout this whole year, I went through months of not seeing my family, and it hurts sometimes. because um, talking to them through the phone or through video chat is not the same thing as talking to them in person or being there with the family. So there's still that invisible wall of communication because I don't get to spend with them all day, every day, only through a phone call that's like 5 or 10 minutes or a video chat that's 30 minutes. But definitely, that's my number one thing that I want to do, other than going out with friends, hanging out, going to eat at restaurants that I haven't done in a long time. But definitely, yeah, that's what I want to do.
And I know you talked a little bit about like TikTok and how it became very like popular during this time period. How do you think that technology play a role in your life during this pandemic? Do you use any other apps for entertainment or like for school or just as a source of news, like just to get your like keeping yourself updated with the news?
Yeah, so definitely, through the beginning of the pandemic to now, we've literally been stuck on a screen, either watching TV, being on our phones, being for TikTok, or even playing video games. With my previous roommates, when the pandemic started, they really got me involved playing video games. So we were even playing with the Nintendo Switch. We were playing the Super Smash Bros. Or Mario Party, or we ended up even playing Fortnite, which is something new for me because I had never had gained interest about playing that game. But because of everything that was going on, I felt that there was nothing else to do but to join them, and it was really fun. And even Netflix and Hulu helped out watching old shows, um, getting back entertained, like with the suspense of watching shows not even from this country, from the United States, but from Mexico, from even Spain. Really, really good shows that get you hooked for a while. It was really, really great. It was a really, really great experience. I'm not gonna lie, at the very beginning, because we got to discover all these new stuff that we could do, and technology really helped us out. I feel like if there was no technology, if we were stuck in 2008, I think, yeah, we would have gone crazy. Yeah,
Yeah, I
definitely.
agree. Animal Crossing really helped me.
Exactly, Animal Crossing. Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think of how the pandemic is being covered in the news?
It's sometimes it can be alarming. Um, there's different ways that people take it when they hear that there's COVID increase. COVID is increasing in the communities or across the country. Um, Definitely. Sometimes I even get scared looking at the news. My mother even said that she even stopped watching the news because she thought to herself, I'm gonna see the same thing every day for who knows how long, of COVID increasing. So definitely the media has done a great job um, telling us about like updates of COVID within when it comes to a vaccine or what to do during the when the country started to open again. Wear a mask, social distance, even having some reports from governors or even from some other senators or even the president sometimes. So they have done a really, I feel like they have done a really, really great coverage on COVID and letting us know, kind of like guiding us through the pathway. I'm not, sometimes I don't agree fully 100% of what they put out on their platforms, because sometimes I feel like it does get the people to start get the people to panic.
Yeah,
And
get paranoid.
yeah, people get paranoid. Like me, when this whole thing started, I was highly paranoid. I didn't want to see anybody other than my roommates, because it was really scary. Because it, even from previous, we have learned throughout the years of other plagues or pandemics that have happened in the world, and that was the first thing that popped into my head. Is like, I don't want to see anybody. But definitely, the media has uh, has its ups and downs, has its negatives and positives. But for me, I've seen it as a positive way for helping out the communities and stuff.
As we're talking a little bit about like our communities here in San Antonio, what are your thoughts in our local leaders? What do you think? What have local leaders done in our community in response to this pandemic?
Definitely the leaders of the city of San Antonio have done a really great job. I feel that they were able to handle the pandemic in a much I want to say a much calmer way. Um, just because putting it as a between them, the city of San Antonio versus the cities in the Rio Grande Valley, because I still also look at the news, or I depend a lot on the valley because my family's over there. Um, Definitely over here they have handled it a little bit much better. Um, Also because we have a lot better resources in the city, here in the city, than in the Rio Grande Valley, but definitely the mayor, and there was another person, I forgot who it was. I think it was the county judge. I don't remember who he is. What's his name? But the mayor, Ron Nuremberg, I think that's his name. He has done a really, really great job. Every day letting us know how many COVID cases are going on, um, how many people are in the hospitals, letting us know what to do in case of this happens and stuff, and uh, definitely updating us every day, on what of the COVID risings and stuff. He has really definitely has handled a really great job. Even when they knew that there was going to be a rise in cases when the state opened, the city was able to handle it really well, um, helping the hospitals, getting people ready who work in the hospitals, knowing that there's going to be an increasing number of patients. But definitely, they have done a really great job. That's how I feel. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I always see their updates like every day. They always have an update on
Mhm.
like the hospital count of like how many patients are there and stuff like that. So
Yeah, and even sometimes if you don't get to see it on TV, you see it through social media. They'll let people know in any other formal way,
yeah.
even through text messages sometimes. Yeah. So yeah.
So if you could go back in time and talk to yourself before the pandemic, so before any of this happened, what would you tell yourself? And what advice would you have based on what you have learned?
Definitely, I will tell myself to not freak out, that everything's gonna be okay. Because when it first started, I was literally not having it. I was really scared of even going to the grocery store, but I needed to go to the grocery store, or even going to work was scary at the beginning. Now that we're like we're more than halfway, more than half over the year that the pandemic started. Um, I Things have, I guess this is a new normal with wearing a face mask, going to a store and anything. um Life has changed a lot, but with a face mask, always taking your germ everywhere, or just being socially distanced. So like at the beginning, I would just tell myself to not freak out, everything's gonna be fine. You're still gonna have a job, don't worry about it. um so yeah, I would just tell myself that.
Has it made you see the like did it change the way you see the world now?
A little bit, yeah. One thing that I've learned is, I know this is gonna sound bad, but one thing that I learned through since the beginning of the pandemic to now is to do not trust people. But just because everybody throughout this the beginning of the pandemic till now, we've seen people's true colors, people who believe in it, people who don't believe in it, vice versa. So a lot of things have changed my perspective views. uh, on people, but definitely, but yeah.
How do you think the pandemic will have a lasting effect on the world, even when it's over?
Um, I think it has made a lot of history in such a short time. The deaths of people, how many people have died um, of COVID, are I don't even, I think it's over 1 million people have died already because of COVID, which is a large number uh, of people in such a short amount of time. So definitely, I feel like it has impacted. It will continue to impact um, after the pandemic is over. It will still affect the whole world on how they do their for scientific research. It has changed a lot for medical use for the medicine world has changed a lot as well. Um, the even going shopping, it's gonna continue to be different for a really really good amount of years, just because people, even after getting the vaccine, even knowing that the pandemic is finally over, you can go back to your normal lives. People are still not gonna feel okay being surrounded by huge amounts
Yeah.
of people in one room. So definitely, it's gonna take a while for the world to finally breathe, going back to normal.
Well, thank you so much for giving us your time for this,
Yeah.
for UTSA's oral history research project. So we
Mhm.
thank you a lot for participating and just giving us your time to talk about just COVID-19 and how it changed your life and just like the experiences that you had with it. So we thank you a lot.
Yeah, no, you're welcome. Definitely.